I actually feel bad for the boy, Clavicular. I almost messed up his name. Fuck, Clavicular. I feel bad for him. Because it's like I saw that video of him going to, what was it, London, Rome, or whatever, trying to go out and ask all these girls for their Instagrams and stuff like that, and he was getting rejected left and right. And I was thinking to myself as I was watching that, like, what if he did something like this, like, I don't know, before 2020, like before the pandemic, and the global market changed, and dating became more difficult and stuff like that? Would he be more successful? I do think so, yes, probably so. It's just, because everything was new and the clout stuff and all that stuff was just brand new. So, he would have had more of a chance. But right now, how the market is, it's just like, I'm not too sure. Yeah, I actually feel bad looking at Clavicular and that damn, when he went to London and stuff. I'm like, dude, I felt terrible because watching that whole thing, it was just like, whoa, why does she have a low interest on me? What's going on? Why am I not pulling? Basically those moments like that. And I was thinking to myself, like, damn, like, if he would have done something like this, like pre-COVID, like before 2019, or before the pandemic, I would have thought he would have had a better chance. Honestly, in my own opinion, he would have done phenomenal out there, and most of the rejections would have been like, oh, like, oh, no, no, I already have a boyfriend, but still giving him like the time of day, smiling and giving him some type of energy or something like that. But it was just like, just seeing that shit was just like, wow, this is like the death of looks maxing. And he was just like a whole catalyst of just like pushing how he looks to the fullest and to the max and everything. And it's something I could relate to because, of course, coming from self-improvement and believing that stuff, like looks maxing was one of the first things that, I didn't follow in a trend because I saw other people do it. It's something I wanted to do since I was like in middle school. And I used to see people that were better than me, better looking and stuff like that. I had girls and all the attention and all that stuff. And I wanted that for myself. And I wanted to have that same type of energy, of course. So, of course, throughout the years, same with Clavicular, you take the time to really like dissect and figure out what's wrong and, fix your features and stuff. Go to the gym, lose face fat, getting yourself in shape, changing clothes and having a better style, hairstyle, all those little things matter. So, but when you get to the point where you're in the 2020s, when after the pandemic, it's a lot more different now. Like girls don't seem to give it two shits about how good you look or, and all that stuff. Is just, it's much more to that. That's what they say and stuff. But it's so much more to the surface of everything. And it's just like, damn, man, it's not the same how it was. And personally for me, I think Clavicular looks like a Disney Channel, like character, like, I say like girls would be crushing on him and stuff like that. Like, Justin Bieber and stuff. Like he has like that, that like cute, like summer boy, no homo, of course, saying all this, no homo, pause, hella pause. He has like this, like that Disney Channel, like that pool boy that the girls find like cute and stuff like that. And everybody's like, oh my God, here he comes. Ooh, I'm gonna pretend like I'm drowning so I get his attention. Like, that type of look. You basically got that type of look. And I'm like, yeah, like if he's not pulling, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? Like, how's this not pop? Like, I was looking through the clip. I'm like, damn, ain't nobody really giving them time of day or attention or anything like that. So it's just like, damn, we do live in a different generation now, and everything isn't solely about looks. Now, you see a lot of these channels kind of go on and talk about like, yeah, looks maxing, why looks maxing isn't going to save you, and it's not enough anymore. But for a short time period, it was enough because I was there to relive through that moment. Because when I first got myself in the gym and started doing a whole bunch of stuff, like I was getting a crazy amount of attention and stuff like that. Now it's just the vibes are different, and everyone's kind of struggling right now with dating. I'm pretty much been one of those guys that's like, I'm just doing my own thing, and I'm gonna just prioritize my peace because it's like what people want you to do, and what they want you to become is such a very narrow situation. Here's one of the things that the dangers of looks maxing that may become like, you may look good, but then a lot of problems that come with it, like you have to like act the way how you look. you really can't be yourself, and that's what Kavika is. Like, if people say he's autistic or something like that, I don't think he's autistic. He's just a very interesting character. I'm an interesting character. A lot of people are interesting characters, but when you look a certain way, you have to carry that look. There's no like, I can still be myself, and if it works out, of course, it should work out. It should work out in your favor if you should still be yourself. But then that's another problem that comes with it. And that's what staying true to yourself really comes in line. And it's not going to be one of those things where you have to pretend like you're something else. No, you should stay true to yourself no matter what, because it's like, yeah, you may look good, but then people expect you to act like this, bougie, or more act like you're rich, and all this dumb shit because of how you look. And it's like, no, you should be able to still be who you are. If you're a good person, you should still have the flexibility of being who you are as a person. And I shouldn't really define all that stuff. I'm still learning that because, yeah, it's like those expectations do come along when you look a certain way, and it's like, oh, I thought you're supposed to be perfect and, like the top tier and have everything figured out. There's no flaws or anything wrong about you that, you present. So I understand where that's coming from. My damn is annoying. It is very annoying going through that shit. I ain't front. Not even in the front. So yeah, I basically feel bad looking at that stuff, and just, the death of an era. Like, looks maxing isn't the same as it once was. And, we're going in a new direction within the culture and dating as a whole. And it's just like dating and stuff like that has gotten really bad. And I don't even want to, I'm not even going to participate in that goofy shit. I just, focus on your peace, focus on prioritizing your mental health. And another prime example of focusing on your mental health is, his name was Connor Murphy. This one hit me the hardest because realizing how he passed away was something that was like pretty tragic in the space and the community of just like looks maxing and stuff, because he was one of the pinnacle people I saw was just getting girls and, getting their attention and stuff like that. And he had health problems and he started balding and started losing himself. And obviously once you like change how you were from that beginning process, like you don't get that much attention from girls, and it's just something that hits you. Like, you don't look as good as you once were. Like, you're not in your prime anymore. And no matter how hard you try to like fill that hole and try to become that person again, it's just not the same as it once was. And then you start to lose your mind over through time. And that's something that I can relate to because, when I was 23, I feel like I was at the peak of my everything, fitness and stuff like that. This is when that whole alpha male space was at its peak, and I feel like I was at my peak right then and there. And, over the years, life happened. My health issues start coming up when I start feeling more fatigued and having more like kidney issues and all, like a hard time processing, have to keep switching diets, and my body kept changing and all kinds of stuff, that problems that came with. And it's like, I wasn't looking as well as I once was when I was like 23. And I was like, the attraction and all that stuff, getting that stuff from girls. And it really did kind of like diminished. Like, of course, like there was something, but it wasn't like people coming up to you and like saying like, "Oh, you're handsome" and all that stuff. It wasn't the same as it once was, and that really did affect me in a really negative way. Like, it did hurt my self-esteem because, every guy, and if some guys don't give a shit about this, but every guy, like especially grew up, like we wanted the attention from girls and that validation from people to feel like we were a part of something, and to lose that can really mess up your whole self-esteem and your confidence and your self-belief. And trying to get back to that is probably the hardest thing when you realize, like, no matter what you're doing, it's like it's not the same as it once was. And he started taking psychedelics and all kinds of stuff, and he ended up losing his life. So rest in peace to that. But the dangers of looks maxing is very real. And, you know, it's just pushing your body to look a certain way and to get that validation to feel like you're enough. But, all this stuff should really tell you like you are enough. And no matter what happens, just keep doing the stuff just to better your soul and better your mind as each day goes on. And, prioritizing, like I said, peace and love for yourself, because you only got one body, so take care of it the best way you can. But yeah, didn't mean to preach on y'all at the very end, but here is my little thing of why looks maxing is dangerous again. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and take care and peace.